7 companies controlled the world's oil for 50 years. Not their own oil, other countries' oil. This is the story of how those countries took it all back. Every well, every pipeline, every barrel. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the most powerful corporate cartel in history lost everything, and why the countries that took it back never had to fire a single bullet. For most of the 20th century, 7 American and British companies control the world's oil. Not their own oil, other countries' oil. They drill it out of Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Venezuela, set the price, choose how much to pump, and keep most of the money. The countries whose ground holds the reserves have almost no say. One by one, those countries take it all back. Every well, every pipeline, every barrel. This is how that happens, and why the most powerful corporations in history can't stop it. The first country to try is Iran. 1951. A democratically elected prime minister looks at Iran's deal with the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, that's BP today under a different name, and says, "This is our oil." He nationalizes the entire industry. Every well, every pipeline, every barrel. Takes it all back. The British go to Washington, help us. And in August 1953, the CIA and MI6 do something they will later officially admit to. They organize a coup against a democracy over oil. 300 people die in the streets of Tehran. The prime minister is overthrown. The Shah is reinstalled, and the oil flows right back to the companies, as if nothing happened. But something has happened. Every oil-producing nation on Earth watches Iran try, and watches the West crush it. The lesson isn't subtle. Do this alone, and they will remove you. Not sanction you, remove you. So they stop trying alone. September 1960, Baghdad. 5 countries, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, sit down in the same room. The trigger is simple. The oil companies have just slashed the price they pay for crude, unilaterally, a 10% cut. The countries whose ground the oil comes from aren't even consulted. They form an organization, OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. 5 nations, 1 table, 1 idea. If they won't negotiate with us individually, they'll negotiate with us together. Nobody takes them seriously. London and New York call it a talking shop, poor countries making noise. Governments that can barely run themselves, trying to push back against the most powerful corporations on Earth. Around this same time, an Italian oil executive named Mattei is proving something dangerous. The sisters split profits 50-50 with producing nations. Mattei goes to those same nations and offers 75%. 75% stays with the country that owns the ground. Every producing nation does that math. The math says they've been getting robbed for decades. In 1962, Mattei's plane explodes mid-air over northern Italy. Ruled an accident. 35 years later, forensic scientists find bomb residue in the wreckage. Reclassified as homicide. Nobody is ever charged, but the number, 75%, doesn't die with him. It keeps spreading. For most of the 1960s, it looks like the sisters have held. OPEC exists, but it hasn't done anything. The 50-50 deals are still in place. The companies still set the price. And then, Libya. 1969. A 27-year-old military officer seizes power. The oil companies aren't worried. They've handled regime changes before. New face, same dependency. They control the infrastructure, the ships, the refineries. What is a 27-year-old going to do? He picks the weakest company first, Occidental Petroleum. Calls the chairman in and lays it out. 55% is ours now. We control pricing going forward. You don't like it? We shut your wells down tomorrow. The chairman folds. Instantly. No negotiation, no standoff, just capitulation. And within 3 months, every other oil company operating in Libya falls in line. Higher prices, higher taxes, all on Libya's terms. This is the moment everything changes. Not because Libya is powerful, because he has just exposed the truth the sisters spent decades hiding. The leverage is fake. The companies need the oil more than the countries need the companies. The prime minister tried in 1951 and was destroyed. But he tried alone before OPEC existed. This is 1970. The whole cartel is watching. And the companies blink. The dominoes start falling. Iraq. June 1st, 1972. No negotiations. No transition period. The government nationalizes every single asset of the Iraq Petroleum Company. American, British, Dutch, all seized. Every well, every pipeline, every office. Gone in an afternoon. They make one exception. France. Iraq keeps France's share intact, publicly, in appreciation of France's support for the Arabs. That isn't generosity. That's a message to every Western nation. We are keeping score. Pick your side carefully. Syria seizes the Iraqi pipeline running through its territory that same day. 2 countries, 1 afternoon. The sisters' infrastructure in the Middle East is being dismantled in real time. And the biggest domino hasn't fallen yet. Saudi Arabia, the largest reserves on earth, the closest American ally in the region. The king has always said oil should never be used as a political weapon. Always. That's his line. Washington relies on it. The oil companies rely on it. If Saudi Arabia holds, the old order survives. Late 1972, the king quietly reverses his position. Nobody in Washington notices. October 6, 1973, Egypt and Syria launch a joint surprise attack on Israel, the Yom Kippur War. Israel is caught flat on its holiest day. The initial Arab advance is devastating, and the whole world watches to see what America will do. October 12th, the president authorizes a massive airlift of American weapons directly into the war zone. Tanks, missiles, ammunition, flown into Israel on military cargo planes while the fighting is still happening. The Arab world watches those cargo planes land and understands. This isn't diplomacy. This is a side being chosen, publicly, unmistakably. Now there is only one question left. 5 days later, they answer. OPEC cuts oil production by 5%. 2 days after that, the day after the president asked Congress for $2.2 billion in emergency aid to Israel, the Arab members impose a full embargo on the United States. Total cutoff, no oil. Then the Netherlands, then Canada, then Japan, then the United Kingdom. One by one, the taps shut. The weapon that has been loading since Baghdad in 1960 finally fires. And it doesn't sound like a gun. It sounds like silence. The tankers stop. The pipelines go quiet. America, winter of 1973. Gas stations go dark. Sorry, no gas today signs everywhere. By February 1974, drivers are sitting in lines 5 miles long, 5 miles, to buy gasoline, in the richest country on earth. The government imposes odd, even rationing. Your license plate's last digit determines which days you can buy fuel. It doesn't help. 20% of American gas stations have no fuel at all. Fights break out at the pumps. Station owners start carrying guns. People sleep in their cars overnight just to hold their spot in line. The price of oil quadruples. $3 a barrel to nearly $12. In 5 months, the stock market crashes. Inflation spikes. Every industry that runs on cheap oil, which is all of them, seizes. The most powerful country in human history brought to its knees. Not by a military, by the absence of something it never thought to worry about. November 1973. The United States Secretary of State flies to Riyadh. He goes to the king personally and asks him to please turn the oil back on. The most powerful diplomat in the Western world. Asking. The king's response. You are the ones who can't live without oil. Our ancestors lived on dates, and we can easily go back to living like that again. The embargo lifts in March 1974, but the price never comes back down. Never. The world before October 1973 and the world after are two different planets, and everyone knows it. What follows is quiet. No more embargoes, no more wars, just paperwork. Saudi Arabia begins buying Aramco, the company Americans built on Saudi soil, piece by piece. 25%, then 51%. By 1980, full ownership. Renamed Saudi Aramco. Iraq's oil, state-owned. Libya, state-owned. Iran, nationalized. Kuwait, nationalized. Venezuela, nationalized. One by one, the countries that watch the sisters drill their land and take their wealth for decades say, enough, and take it back. The seven sisters' share of global oil production collapses. From 85% at their peak to less than a quarter in one generation. The most powerful corporate cartel in history doesn't go out with a bang. It just wakes up one morning and realizes it's irrelevant. Today, the largest oil companies in the world aren't Exxon or Shell. They're Saudi Aramco, the national Iranian oil company, PDVSA, Petronas, state-owned, run by the countries that own the ground. The sisters still exist, but they're tenants now. It takes a failed revolution in Tehran, a secret meeting in Baghdad, an Italian who proved the math was rigged and was killed for it, a 27-year-old in Libya who called the bluff, and a king who told the most powerful nation on earth to go back to eating dates. The producing nations take it all back, and nobody can stop them. Because this time, it isn't one man, it's all of them. If you didn't know this story, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more turning points they never taught you in school.